Satisfaction. You can't always get what you want, but customers try. Hi there, it's Nance Rosen here with some words and warnings about what it takes to make customers happy today. Relevant, convenient, responsive, reliable, speedy, easy, simple, durable, fun, dramatic, exciting, educational, stimulating, calming, life-affirming. Oh, that the products and services you offer will hit the spot and make your customers satisfied, delighted, and excited to brag about you. And while we wish it were enough to satisfy customers while they search and purchase, it's not by half. Every touch point has the potential to inflate or deflate satisfaction. From the store clerk's attitude or the quality of answers found on FAQs to the location on the shelf or the speed of the download, the customer is constantly adding or subtracting from your company's reputation and their own propensity to buy more or buy again, to basically love you or leave you. Customer contacts are moments of truth. Each contact is moving the needle toward trust or doubt, meaning you are always proving that the experience of doing business with your company is like it's promised or it's not. This constant test of your word occurs throughout the customer's relationship with your company. Satisfaction isn't an amorphous, protoplasmic ideal. It's not squishy or murky or hard to measure. It's real. That you know and care about the customer has got to be evident in nearly every encounter a customer has with your company, if you require a long and prosperous relationship. And given the average, very expensive cost of acquiring new customers, you want relationships that are managed to last. From the first website contact or initial sales call to the service and support delivered and even the bill collected. When it comes to satisfaction, here's how the expectations often get set. It starts with your brand promise. When you put out an ad, brochure, a website brimming with happy, smiling people, YouTube videos of your product whirling like a prima ballerina, twirling on a stage, and a boatload of sugary testimonials declaring the life-changing attributes of your product or service, plus pics of all the J.D. Power trophies for best customer service in your category, you have set customers' threshold expectations. Plus, you never know what your field sales representatives are boasting about, so they might be stacking the deck of anticipated glory as they attempt to beat back competitors' claims of the happily ever after that customers enjoy in relationships with their companies. What is your advertising agency doing to craft your brand promise? Is your company taking it seriously and actively implementing staff training programs or incentives to deliver on these promises? Fly the friendly skies of United. Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Coke, the pause that refreshes. M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. The academic definition of satisfaction is not very satisfying, but you deserve to know it. Richard Oliver, who literally wrote the book on satisfaction, titled it Satisfaction, a Behavioral Perspective of the Consumer. And this is what Dr. Oliver has to say. Satisfaction is the consumer's fulfillment response. It is a judgment that a product or service feature or the product or service itself provided or is providing a pleasurable level of consumption-related fulfillment, including levels of under or over fulfillment. Huh. Now, aren't you glad you're in the business where you can deliver satisfaction and not in academia where you would just think about it? No, it's fun to think about the nature of satisfaction. In fact, it's critical that you think about it in depth because you have to deliver it in depth in order to compete successfully in your marketplace. Dr. Oliver uses an interesting phrase. It is fulfillment of what a product or service should deliver. When you do what should be done for the customer per his or her expectations, in academic lingo we call this confirmation, meaning that the customer got what they expected. You confirmed them. The concept of confirmation might be more useful to you if you think about it as meeting basic expectations, or what we sometimes call threshold expectations. To illustrate this, think of your pain threshold. Some of us can tolerate more pain than others. For example, I happen to have a very high pain tolerance or threshold. When I ask for Novocaine at the dentist, it means there's been a whole lot of drilling going on for a long time in my mouth. So, if you have a low pain threshold, don't ask me to recommend my dentist. Before your dentist fires up a drill, he or she should know what your threshold expectations are for the procedure, and if the dentist promises mild to modest discomfort, but you feel searing, ripping, roaring pain, then he has set the wrong threshold expectations of satisfaction for you. We call failing to meet minimum expectations negative disconfirmation, otherwise known as dissatisfaction. Think about what your customer feels when he's been promised service within 24 hours, and the unit he purchased from you is still broken and untended to for 3 days. Or he gets on your automated no-service phone system, and there's no way to reach a real person without performing a self-diagnosis about the problem, which is the reason he's calling. He needs a diagnosis. He feels what? Dissed. That's disrespected, dissatisfied, and disinterested in buying anything else from your company. Who's feeling the ripping, roaring, searing pain now? You both are. You have an unhappy customer who probably has a bunch of people jumping down his throat, and you have a wasted opportunity to capture a long, rich, lifetime value and the golden referrals that could have come from this customer. This happens when we sell, but we're not prepared to serve, or when we sell without properly briefing the customer on what the reality is, like the real mean time between failure, or how many copies the unit makes on average before the machine breaks down, or the noise level and the quality of the sound, or the slim bandwidth, or whatever is likely to interrupt the satisfactory use. You lose a customer's affinity when you've sold without training support people, or failed to incent them for getting things done on the first call. Remember, what your company rewards will be repeated. If your call center is incented to be productive, that is, take lots of calls per hour, they will likely want to get off the phone as quickly as possible, problem solved or not. If, on the other hand, you bonus them for positive customer satisfaction survey responses taken after each call, you'll get more customer satisfaction and longer lifetime value. That is, if you empower your service team to make decisions on the spot, like give extended warranties, solve problems in the field even when those problems weren't the ones called in, or give away a free battery or some other treat for customers enduring a product or service failure. So threshold expectations are what your customer anticipates will be part of the product or service, its delivery, and the management of any problems they have. Not every customer has the same threshold expectations. For example, if your customer has had 20 mobile devices to take and make phone calls, starting with that giant brick that had 2 minutes of talk time in the 80s, just kidding, kind of, and now is on the latest iPhone or Samsung Galaxy, he may have really high expectations, since phones have evolved a lot faster in the last 3 decades than mankind has in the last 3 centuries. He might expect a nearly weightless, mind-reading sliver with a screen the size of a seat cushion and functionality that could launch Richard Branson's next space vehicle onto a distant planet. And that's at a minimum. Go ahead. Try to exceed those expectations. By the way, when you exceed threshold expectations, we call that positive disconfirmation. You've made the customer wrong about what to expect, but in a good way. If a customer is new to your product or service category, let's say she's never had a tablet reader like an iPad or a Kindle, and has only in passing seen some ads or chatter about them, then she won't have personal experience to dictate what she should expect from such a device. That's good and bad news for you. Remember, 1/3 of technical products returned to retailers or manufacturers are sent back because the customer found the product defective. But the products were not defective. What happened? The customers couldn't understand the user manual. They couldn't get help on the website or by phone. A miracle did not transform the device, magically setting it up by switching off for 30 seconds while saying a prayer. So the customer returned it, and you got your reputation nicked, plus your revenue and profits drained. So, whenever possible, write instructions in plain language, or follow the IKEA model and use stick figure drawings. The average unhappy customer tells about 10 times more people about the experience than the happy customer does. In social media, 10 times can be literally thousands of negative mentions that you'll never eradicate. It pays to make things right before they go wrong, which is in the creation and delivery stage. But of course, things do go wrong in the natural course of life and business. And you can take heart that when you respond rapidly and remedy a problem quickly, even if it's a refund or sending out a new item before waiting for the return, the unhappy customer transforms into a very happy customer. The relationship gets stronger, and these customers do get on the social media soapbox to crow about you. The far side of dissatisfaction is delight. A few years back, I hired a computer services vendor with a CDO, a new C-suite title. She was the Chief Delight Officer. Her job was connecting with customers when they were satisfied, before they made a peep about a problem. She called to ask probing questions about the company's staff performance, the customer's goal, and, surprise, sent baskets of fresh fruit cut up to look like flowers. She appreciated customers and came up with new ideas for upselling, cross-selling, and simply selling more because customers were more receptive when they were contacted. Consider how you can mine customers' impressions. Maybe it's when they're sitting in the lobby waiting for their car to be serviced. Maybe it's when they're on your website reading content. Maybe it's when you ride along with a sales representative just to be introduced. And of course, you can always thank them for their time with a little fresh fruit. Customer satisfaction is not an end to itself. It is in service of reducing returns, reducing the number of complaints that injure your company's reputation, increasing the amount of revenue and profit from each customer and extending their lifetime value, getting referrals, attracting prospects, compressing the sales cycle, raising your company's visibility, market share, share price, and company value. It might also be about fulfilling the mission of your organization, improving employee morale, and attracting and retaining great employees because it's great to work for a great company. There is nothing bad about providing good customer-centric experience as long as it's set up to be a system-wide ethic and monitored to ensure that it's profitable to deliver. We'll close with some wisdom from the book Customer Experience Edge, from which we get the perspective that of everything that matters, perhaps 4 things matter most in creating satisfaction and delight and all the company benefits that cascade from them. 1. Reliability. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Live up to your promises about quality, reliability, shipping, and whatever else you promise, and put in the systems that allow everyone in the company to perform their jobs accordingly. 2. Convenience. Make it easy. Provide many ways for the customers to buy and be served. Perhaps that means lots of outlets and e-tailers, different formats, a good-sized selection of styles to fit the various environments your customers have, and definitely convenient ways to get help pre- and post-purchase. 3. Responsiveness. Make it quick. The device, download, or service ideally feels like an extension of the customer's mind, heart, or hand. Make it intuitive, fast, reflexive. Create service and support that puts the customer's well-being at the center of the actions taken. 4. Relevance. Different folks need different approaches. Some customers want standard, off-the-shelf, tried and true solutions. Other customers like more cutting-edge or customization, which resellers might be able to provide if your company isn't set up for that. Create products, services, support, and alliances that will increase the value of your offering. Don't get complacent when you get ahead. Do the work to know what your customers' current needs are, no matter when they first bought from you. And do the work to stay up on what's next and be ready to deliver it.